live, kind of. Welcome one and all to Real Debates, Star Wars edition. Yes, that's right. Everything today will be Star Wars based. The topics, the trivia, everything. Here, we let two huge Star Wars fans battle it out for bragging rights supremacy. I'm your host, Walter Bernasiak. Let's go ahead and introduce our debaters for today's show. First, sitting to my left, she's a filmmaker and professor. This is her first time on the show, and she's a big Star Warsian herself. That's right, we finally got a woman on the show. Mrs. Leah Kovtunenko. Will the Force be with you today, Leah?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. And sitting to my right, he is also a filmmaker and a graduate of Governor State University here. You can catch him in the upcoming web series, The Infinity Trinity. It's the Stormin' Norman himself, Mr. Samuel Deyoung. This is also Sam's first time on the show, too. Will your anger make you stronger?
I hope so.
Okay, good. That was a great Emperor impression by me. And it's almost time to get down to the debating, but first let's go over the rules, ladies and gentlemen. We have 4 topic discussion rounds that these two have prepared for. For every round, we will hear a 1-minute opening argument from each debater. After both debaters have presented their arguments, they will go back and forth on why their point of view is better on the subject. At the end of every round, I will award 3 points to the person who I believe presented the best argument. After those 4 rounds are complete, we will move on to the lightning round, where the debaters will be asked a series of movie trivia questions, this time all Star Wars themed. Those trivia questions are worth 1 point each. The debater with the most points at the end of the game wins. Is everybody clear on the rules?
The lightning round's where it's at.
I think so.
All right.
Yeah.
Then let's debate. For real. Yeah, you hear that ding? It was really loud, I know. Okay, and we're going to go on with round 1 here. It's a pretty unanimous thing that the prequels aren't as good as the original trilogy. What I want to know from you guys here, what is the best Star Wars prequel movie? We're looking for the best of the worst today, folks. So I'm going to go with Sam first, and your 1-minute opening argument starts now.
Okay, the best of the prequels, or the one that I guess you'd say is most worth watching, is Revenge of the Sith. Only being said because it has the most relevant information to the original trilogy. You see the exact creation of Darth Vader, the birth of Luke and Leia. Yeah, that's it.
And that's it.
It's a lot better than Phantom Menace, Attack the Clones. Anakin is still whiny, but he's evil and he's killing people now, so...
That makes it better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you good on that? Leah, your 1 minute starts now.
Okay, I don't know if it'll be a minute because it is the prequels, but I guess Attack of the Clones I think would be better, only because when I think about like Revenge of the Sith and all that, I don't necessarily feel that lightheartedness or that adventure that I experienced with the original trilogy. And so because of that, I feel like kind of, let down, not really engaged. Yes, there's a really good fight scene at the end, but it's just not enough to make me feel motivated to really connect with the characters. And so for that reason, I think Attack of the Clones is better than Revenge of the Sith.
Okay, now we're going to go back and forth on this. Why do you think Revenge of the Sith is better, not only than Phantom Menace, but Attack of the Clones specifically?
Well, as far as the lighthearted factor, I think that actually you would say the Revenge of the Sith has more, dark elements to it, but it has way more childish, cheesy junk in it. General Grievous was made only to sell toys.
Right.
Every single battle droid in the movie sounds like a kid's wind-up toy or some cell phone sound.
Yes, true.
Yeah, and the anger of Anakin, it's a lot more about him going to the dark side than the Padme Anakin love thing.
Right. So you think it basically ties into the original trilogy more and shows the genesis of Darth Vader. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's their main reason. Leah, why? Get any more reasons why it's better than Attack of the Clones is better than Revenge of the Sith?
Well, like I said before, like the character motivations, I felt like the first 2 prequels, okay, we kind of get a sense, and then I feel once we get to the Revenge of the Sith, it's rushed. I feel like, what is this, a weekend wedding in Vegas? Like, why am I all of a sudden, boom, dark side.
Right.
And I totally get that. But it's just one of those things where I feel like, okay, the whole movie feels rushed. The Empire's forming in the first two films. Then all of a sudden at the end, we're racing towards the Destroyer. And I'm just like, why? Like, I want to see more character development and everything like that. And I just think that out of all the three prequels, Revenge of the Sith was more formulaic in terms of the Hollywood narrative. The dialogue was a little better, but just only to appease the upset Star Wars fans and to make it seem like, oh, so this one's more formulaic, so this is what you want, this is what you're going to get, rather than addressing the issues of the first two films.
Okay. Anything else on why Episode 3 is at least, the word I've heard people describe Episode 3 as is tolerable. Why is it more tolerable than Episode 2? What about Episode 2 don't you like specifically?
I think that it's probably that there's more cringeworthy scenes and stuff that you'd wish you could just fast forward through in Attack of the Clones.
Okay. So more cringeworthy stuff. So you're talking about like the dialogue and everything, and scenes with Anakin and Padme.
Yes, talking in front of blue screen, and that's it.
Yes, that's about it. Okay, well, we'll go into last words here. Anything else you guys want to close on, Leah?
I just feel like, I don't know, the prequel itself or the last final film, I felt like there was a good fight scene at the end, but I just felt it was generic, and it just didn't give me that sense that I was looking for from the original trilogy. Yeah.
Okay. Sam, any last words?
I'll say that there's a lot more elements and production design and more of a flavor of the original trilogy, so that's why you'll put up with it more.
Okay. All right. Not too bad, guys. I know this is your first time on the show. I know. It's all right. Yeah, Episode 2 and Episode 3, my personal opinions obviously don't matter on the show right now, but you guys did a pretty good job of explaining why it's better than the other. Close one there, but I think because, Leah, you went into a little bit more detail about why you think Episode 3 is worse and how Episode 2 at least had some kind of, however misguided it was, fun, quote-unquote, element to it. I think I'll give it to Leah for this first round. So you get 3 points there. Hurrah, hurrah.
3 points.
Sis kumbah. Okay. All right, we're going to go on to round 2, ladies and gentlemen. So continuing with the flipping of the tradition here, in your opinion, what is the worst Star Wars movie from the original trilogy? Now, I know this is kind of sacrilegious right now, but we went with Sam first this last time, so we'll go with Leah first. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm going to catch a lot of flack for this because this is the general consensus that people go against, but I would say that it's The Empire Strikes Back.
Ooh.
And this is because this is not a film that stands alone. So it's kind of the in-between film. This is where we experience Luke kind of becoming a Jedi, but we never actually see him become a Jedi. Mm-hmm. That's in between. And so I feel like because it can't stand alone, because there's no really character importance, and the characters essentially don't have any defined goals. So some characters are going over here, mm-hmm. They're going to, Tatooine to get, or not Tatooine, to get, I think, what is it, Han Solo, because he's frozen in carbonite. I forget the planet.
Oh, wherever Jabba the Hutt is.
Right, so they're going there, characters are going here, but in the first and the last, everybody has the same goal. And I think in this one, everybody has all different goals, so you don't know who to relate with, and because of that, you're just not sure what the central goal is, and they have their own problems.
That's your 1 minute.
I'm sorry.
We'll come back to that.
All right.
Well, no, we'll come back to you. Go ahead, Sam. 1 minute starts now.
All right, the best worst original trilogy film, not really worst, but the one where you start to see the decline of George Lucas's vision is Return of the Jedi. It's still very, very good. Very good. But you can see that the strong storytelling elements have kind of subsided to the Ewoks are the only close to blatant problem, and you could say you could say that Empire Strikes Back is dark and you need to have a happy ending and stuff like that, and aside from the first one being made all on its own, it was the first attempt at a Star Wars movie. Return of the Jedi is definitely, if you're going to look at all of them, the weakest.
Okay. All right, now we will go to our debating round here. So why do you think that Empire Strikes Back is worse than Return of the Jedi?
Well, first I just want to
Least
say
best.
that it hurts because I
I
like
know.
the original trilogy,
I
so
know.
it's hard for me to argue this. But it's just because I feel like the movie itself can't stand alone. If it were to be by itself in its own little film, people wouldn't know kind of what was going on. With the first one, you understand. With the last one, you understand. But this one, we're kind of left wondering, okay, what are the motivations for these characters? And because of that, I think it hurts the narrative, it hurts character development, and it takes away from the overall story. Not that I don't like it, I really love it, but I'm just saying it's just one of those things where I just felt like because it can't stand alone, the story is really unfocused, and because of that, I feel like the audience can't connect on that kind of like intimate level with the characters, and because of that, it hurts the film overall.
Okay, Sam, same question.
Well, I could almost make the same argument that Return of the Jedi starts off and you're kind of getting thrown into the universe. And if you haven't seen Empire Strikes Back, you don't know who Han Solo is. You don't even know why we care to, save him. Leia comes out of nowhere after sounding like some hobo,
Okay.
So you could make the same argument that it just, it's hard to follow.
Yeah.
The other thing is that the producer was different, and
right.
more of it just the actual craftsmanship, the storytelling started to peter away. It's still good. It's still an excellent movie, but you can see it started to decline.
Right. So you're saying Empire is the peak. I'm assuming you think Empire is the best one of the original trilogy. What do you think is the best one of the original trilogy, Leah?
In my opinion, it's A New Hope. It's
Okay.
the first one because that's where you get all the feels. That's where, like, I remember seeing it for the first time, and my eyes, I just could not take them off the TV. And I just remember experiencing all the characters, learning about the overall story. Even though I didn't necessarily know the prequel or what was going on,
Right.
I could identify with the specific characters and their conflicts. And that's where I felt like the narrative really sucked me in.
Right.
So it was the first one.
Right. So the first one drew you in. The second one, I mean, everyone loves Empire Strikes Back, but you're saying it doesn't stand on its own. It's kind of
Right.
shaky when you watch it by
Everybody
itself.
wants like that kind of like that resolution, that denouement where it falls off
Yeah.
and everything comes into play. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, so with Return of the Jedi, I mean, a lot of people do say that, like, that is the start of the decline. You could see the cracks in the armor at that point. You can see with the Ewoks and everything, like, it's more geared for kids, and it's kind of out of place, especially with how dark Empire was. So when Lucas is obviously he didn't direct that film. The only original trilogy movie he directed was A New Hope. But with him behind the scenes over there, and then leading into the prequels, what do you think sort of connected Jedi to the prequels in terms of like the decline? Is it just the Ewoks, or is it more production design, or like the story sort of fell off? What do you think?
I don't necessarily agree with the decision or the direction that Return of the Jedi was originally going to go. Han Solo was supposed to die.
Right, I've heard that.
Luke was supposed to turn to the dark side, and Princess Leia was going to become president or something. I don't know.
The new Emperor.
But-
Emperor Leia.
But after Lucas decided that he wanted to change it to be a toy vehicle and just start adding different, because originally the Ewoks were supposed to be Wookiees, a
I
already
didn't know that.
understood species, but he changed it to something completely brand new just for the variety factor.
Right. Okay. So the signs were there basically that and then by the time the prequels came around, you didn't really. It seemed like the quality control was not there, obviously, for that. So, all right, we're gonna wrap this round up. Let's get final thoughts from you guys. Leah, go ahead. One more time.
Being that I don't know if this is a bad thing, but we have a female, so I like the Ewoks. I think they're
I like
fun
the
and
Ewoks
cute
as
and
well.
adorable, and I like their ambitious behavior and their fact that they're good and they're helping. So to me as a woman, that really appealed to me, and so that
Okay.
wasn't something that I didn't like at all. I actually really enjoyed it.
Okay.
So.
I know people who like the Ewoks, but it's more like younger.
Right,
younger
and,
fans.
and when I was that age, that's how old I was, and I really was drawn towards it. So
Right. Okay. So one more time on why Jedi is the worst of the original trilogy, and specifically why is it not as good as Empire?
I don't have any more.
Was Return of the Jedi a disappointment?
It's
Did it not
you're
end
causing
the story?
problems by making us say that original trilogy movies are a disappointment.
This is
It's
why. This is
not.
why it's turning everything on its
We're
head.
picking very minute details out of these
But
movies.
this is the whole point. This is why it's tough.
Yeah.
This is why it had to be difficult.
You can say that destroying the Death Star again is a little bit
Okay, that's something. All right. So another Death Star, not cool. Okay, I'm going to wrap this round up here. So yeah, pretty good arguments. I know this is hard, but this is why I wanted to do this, because it's difficult to draw real big problems out of the original trilogy and really find the redeeming qualities of the prequels. So I wanted to see what you guys brought to this about that. So with this one, once again, I think I'm going to have to give it to Leah because she gave a little bit more about how unfocused Empire seems to be at some level. I mean, whether I agree with that or not, I think that some of that is valid because it is the middle chapter and it didn't end. Joss Whedon. He said that it made the cardinal sin of not ending. So you brought that up in your argument, and it wouldn't stand alone as powerful just watching it by yourself. So without the beginning and ending chapters. But Sam, you did make good points about like the decline in Jedi with the Ewoks, and you can see that it's kind of hard to follow in some areas. I just think Leah just gave a little bit more, so I'm going to give her 3 more points there. So right now it is 6-0 right here, but fair enough. We have 2 more rounds here, folks. Okay, now it's time for round 3. It's father versus son, the battle. Everyone has debated for years. Luke versus Anakin. If both were in their prime with the Force, everything, who would win in a Jedi-Sith battle? I want to know who you guys picked. I know Sam had like the first choice, so Leah, you were left with this guy. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just gonna go out there and I'm just gonna say Vader or Anakin essentially because he had far superior training, greater experience. Luke, had a little bit of training with Yoda, a little bit of training with Obi-Wan, and so then he was left all of a sudden. And then if you look in all the original films, Luke always needs saving. Darth Vader didn't, because, he's stronger in the Force. He was the chosen one. And I think he was more skillful as a duelist, and I think the only character flaw that Darth Vader had was that he was overconfident. And Luke never tried to do that, tried to mess with that kind of character flaw, even though he could have. And I just think Anakin because if you look at towards the end of the prequels, he goes on a murderous rampage.
Yes, it happened.
He was pushed over the side a little bit, so he was kind of forced into the dark side, I feel. He didn't really have a choice. He was having those visions of Padme losing the...
That's what they try to present.
Right, and so because of that, I feel like he wasn't given a choice.
That's your 1 minute. We'll come back to you. Sam, go ahead. Why would Luke win this fight?
Luke would win this fight because now my knowledge of the expanded universe is not
That's okay.
close to
We're
extensive.
talking about the movies.
Okay. Forgetting that, Anakin never could reach his potential.
Okay.
He had way too many hang-ups, and he became Darth Vader and a crippled mechanical mess. He's one of the best villains ever, but still a mess before he ever reached potential. Luke, in any of the movies, he's very far from being a complete Jedi. So from what we see in any of the movies, he goes on, becomes more powerful.
Right.
Just even from the glimpse that we see in Return of the Jedi.
Right. So you're saying Luke is, with less training, he became more powerful. Okay. Let that down there. Okay. You want to retort there, Leah? Go ahead.
I think it deals with, in the prequels, we see Anakin. He's a cute little kid. All of a sudden, he falls.
Jake Lloyd.
He falls in love with an older woman because that's just straight up gangster. Okay.
Old woman. He's like 9, she's 14.
That's still pushing it. And then but I think the teenage angst that he has, and then finally when he just flips his switch, I feel like it shows his strength. It shows his anger. It shows what his potential could be.
Right. Okay.
And I think the only character flaw besides being overconfident was knowing that he had children. And he probably could have and would have slayed Luke, but he didn't.
Right.
And so if there was a battle between them, I still think that he wouldn't do anything because Luke is his son. And at the end of the films, you realize that he even gave everything up. He killed, so that Luke could continue. So it was just a thing I agree in a sense that, he couldn't reach his full potential because of his children. But I think if there was the Force, and if it's in the Force, and he was the chosen one to begin with, he would have known in the Force that there was another Force. You see what I'm saying?
He didn't know that they were alive, though, until, was it Episode 5, I guess? Until Empire Strikes Back.
I feel like in my heart of hearts, because he was the father and because, the Force or whatever, he would have felt something.
I do agree.
Well,
he probably
thought
was
there
holding
weren't
back.
any because Padme died.
Right.
So the kids are gone.
Right, that's what he assumed. I mean, but I do agree that he probably held back, especially in Jedi, because it was his son, and obviously that turn came later in that movie. Right. So let's get back on track, though. Why would Luke? We say that you're saying with less training he became more powerful. Specifically, I mean, like we're talking like Anakin at his height. So I'm guessing that's kind of. I mean, he became more powerful with the Force after he became Darth Vader with the mask and everything. But he obviously couldn't be as physically into the fights, before he got his legs chopped off by Obi-Wan and everything happened to him. So why would Luke defeat him? I mean, what do you think would be the deciding factor for Luke?
Well, also just saying that the Force is the fact that your body is so mutilated, you would not have as strong of a control or a connection to the Force. Also, the biggest problem, though, too, is that in the movies, they make it seem like the Jedis are the way to be and stuff like that.
Right.
And how anger is going to be the greatest handicap that you can ever have.
Yeah.
I think Luke pretty much has, or not Luke, Anakin
right.
has severe anger issues almost from
that's
day
true.
one.
That's true.
Luke didn't grow up with that. Yes, he was whiny and stuff like that, but he didn't really have any anger problems. And also in Empire Strikes Back, when Yoda tells him, don't go, you must continue your training, you're only going to cause problems by going and saving Luke or Han and Leia. That point, we're actually proving the Jedi code wrong by saying, no, you've got to actually go do something about it. And that right there...
He did get his hand cut off.
Yeah, but that's all. It's not 2 legs and an arm.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, final thoughts. Leah, go ahead.
I just think that Vader overall or Anakin would be superior. I know he was like at, 20% after the whole situation, but I feel like...
He did become more powerful with the Force and
I
stuff.
feel like he was super powerful, and I hate that they make it... I know it's like good versus evil.
Yeah.
I totally get that, but sometimes I want to see a little more evil, because I feel like there's a lot of power there, and I feel like it was just untapped, and I feel like I mentioned before, he was really pushed to do that because he didn't want to see Padme die.
Right, sure.
And so he was given a position, and it's something that you can relate to on an emotional human level. You know, you would do anything for the ones you love, so you know what? I'm going to the dark side. See you later.
Right, and you think that all that behind him
and he does all the training and everything like that where
Luke didn't have the proper training.
Exactly.
Okay, so you're thinking if he didn't hold back, he could take out Luke.
Oh, yes.
Okay, one more thought. Why Luke can beat Vader / Anakin.
He did beat Vader.
Okay,
and then
that's
the
a
Emperor
valid
showed
point.
up and zapped him.
It's a valid point.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that, and also being said, Vader, he's all political. He's just a leader. He's all fear factor, and occasionally he chokes people.
Okay. All right, we're going to wrap this round up. Good arguments, guys. I mean, like, this one is tough, I think, because it's hard to choose, like, which version of Anakin would be best. I mean, because if he's Vader, he's obviously handicapped because of the limbs that he's missing, and, like, he needs that suit to live at that point. But if he's younger, he's not as focused. So, I mean, that's tough. With Luke didn't seem to have an anger problem, but in Return of the Jedi, he comes back and he has a little bit of an edge to him. He's wearing all black. He's edging towards, it seems like, the dark side a little bit.
He's a goth Jedi.
He's a goth Jedi, right. Okay, you know what? With this one, I think the thing that I couldn't get over is that, number one, Luke becomes extremely powerful without so much training, I think. And I think that's why I'm going to have to give it to Sam on this one. He didn't have as much training. Anakin went through all the proper channels to become a Jedi, to learn the ways of the Force, and Luke did beat him. I mean, that is a valid point, whether it's at his most powerful or not, or whether he had to hold back. Luke still took him out at the end of Return of the Jedi, so I think all those things combined, I'm going to have to give Sam the point on that one. So good job, Sam. So it is 6-3 right now, going to our final topic discussion round. Are you guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There are plenty of good performances from the actors in the Star Wars movies. Also, there are some really bad performances from the actors in the Star Wars movies. You know the thing about sand? It's coarse, it's irritating, and gets everywhere.
Please don't.
Today, we want to know the best. What is the best performance from any actor in any one of the Star Wars films? So you have to pick an actor, and if they're in more than one movie, which movie was their best performance in? We went with who last time? Sam first? So
No,
we're gonna
I
go
think
with
you
Leah.
went, I think you went with me
Defending
first.
Anakin.
Yeah, so you go to Sam now.
So Sam, go ahead. 1
Okay.
minute starts now.
Best performance is Yoda in Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
I think that one of the strongest elements in The Empire Strikes Back is the production design, and you can almost combine Yoda into that aspect. There really aren't any, well, they maybe went on to win Oscars and stuff like that, but there are a lot of roles where the acting has want,
Right.
but with Yoda, how amazing it is to take a puppet and create a performance out of it. That, I mean, with Gollum in Lord of the Rings and in plenty of other movies, when they can pull that off and make you care about, you know, a hunk of latex or
Right.
something that's CG, that's quite powerful. So
Sure.
what Frank Oz did with that is probably one of the best in the franchise.
And you're saying from Empire, right?
Yes.
Okay.
on Empire.
All right. And Leah, your 1 minute starts now. Go ahead.
I'm going to pick Han Solo, Harrison Ford, because he was the character I think that every single person who watches the trilogy, we can't identify with princesses or dark lords or anything like that. Han was human,
Sure.
okay? And so he had those human elements that we could identify with. You know, he's morally ambiguous, but he still has a moral compass. So even though he wouldn't, you know, say that he loves or certain things, or he was, you know, kind of staunch in the way he like kept himself in terms of character, I feel like you still knew that he was the good guy.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things, like, I liked him the best because he had comical relief.
Right. Which movie are you talking about specifically?
I would say, see, I like all. Okay, so kind of in the middle, he wasn't really there.
Right. But I remember you said A New Hope earlier.
Yeah.
So, there we
So
go.
when you're first initially introduced to the character, I think that's when you really fall in love with him because he's kind of this rogue space cowboy.
Yeah, he is.
And you kind of just want to identify with him because he has this cool ship.
The Millennium Falcon's pretty cool.
It's a cool ship. It goes pretty fast. He has a cool sidekick that's furry. So.
All right, we'll come back to you on that. Okay, so performance-wise, I mean, you know, it's really cool that they had to build that whole set off the ground and everything, Dagobah, with to have Yoda be there and everything, being puppeteered and everything. What specifically about his performance like drew you in? I mean, is it like give me something on the character, give me something on specific scenes?
The one thing that was lacking sorely in the prequels, and that's his humor.
Okay.
Now,
okay.
when he shows up and he's all, and I'm taking your food, and I
Right.
want this, and I'll take you to Yoda, but I'm secretly Yoda, and all
Right.
that stuff. I can't say if that was him just pretending for that one specific moment to throw Luke off, but that's genuine. He's a puppet, but that's still very genuine. It draws you in. The planet of Dagobah might be just a misty swimming pool,
Swamp.
but that's the first part. Yeah, when you get sucked into any sequence on that planet, Yoda makes Dagobah and everything about that.
Okay, cool. All right, so specifically from A New Hope, what are like some scenes, some memorable moments about with Han Solo that you can think of that make Harrison Ford's performance the best one of the entire series?
I like the kind of the sexual tension, I guess you could say. Okay, so he thinks that, you know,
Between Luke and Leia, right?
right, there is that a little bit, but you can see, like, you know, Han Solo in the background. He kind of likes her, but he doesn't want to say that he likes her.
Yeah, he's too cool for that.
He is super cool. He's that space cowboy. And so because of that, I think that we can kind of relate to his character because he's the most normal one out of everybody.
Yeah.
He's a greedy son of a gun who's
He
just
is.
trying to collect debts or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that because he's the most human, we can relate to him the most.
Okay. All right, cool. So yeah, any other thoughts on Yoda's performance or Frank Oz's performance? You know, he did do the puppeteering and stuff, but vocally, the words that he says, anything specific?
I think the particular moment when, after the X-Wing is brought out of the water by Yoda, set down, and Luke is baffled, and he says, "I don't believe it," and Luke just says, "And that is why you fail."
Yoda says, yeah.
It's perfect. It's better than a lot of actors can come up with because it's not snide.
Right.
It's just grim. It's like, yeah, and that's your problem.
Right, I got you. Okay. Last thoughts, Leah,
I
on
mean,
Harrison Ford.
I really feel that, like, out of all the characters that we've experienced, I think because his element was the one actually missing from the prequels, I think that's
Yeah,
partly
you're
why
right.
that's
You're
partly why
right.
they stink. Because there's no
I'm glad he wasn't in there though. He didn't screw up his character.
well, I'm not
wasn't born
negating
yet.
that either,
He
and I'm
wasn't born
also
yet.
very, very nervous about who they're going to cast as a future,
Right, that's a current topic of discussion.
scaring me to death. But at the same time, I think that's what makes the Star Wars trilogy, the original trilogy, what it is.
Right.
It's because of, I mean, when I was in the playground, I didn't want to play Princess Leia. I didn't want to play, Luke or Darth Vader. I wanted to be Han Solo.
That's cool.
Because he was the cool guy. And so that's, I think, as an audience, we can identify with his character.
Okay, this is a really close one. You guys made really good points on both ends here. I mean, yes, Yoda, like, everybody remembers Yoda from Empire specifically, all the famous lines he has. Frank Oz being underneath that whole set, puppeteering him is amazing. Harrison Ford, that was his first role. Not something that was pointed out, but that was one of his first big roles. If not, that's the thing that put him on the map, was that performance right there. And he is like the cool middle ground character who everybody loves. Like, everybody loves Han Solo. People think Luke is a little annoying at first. Leia has a fake British accent at the beginning. And but everyone always thought Han was cool. But yeah, I mean, like, you guys both made really good points. The thing that I'm hung up on, I think that I just couldn't get over, is that it was everything with Yoda. I'm going to go with Yoda. I think that because all the lines he has is, the specific moments are more memorable. I think Han over the whole series goes through that arc, and then if we were talking about the whole series, then maybe I would give it to Han. But I think just in Empire, Yoda goes through so much and teaches Luke so much, and when we first meet him, he's a different character, basically. So I think, Sam, you did a good job at pointing out the good parts of Yoda, and I'm going to give you 3 points. So we're tied at 6. Oh boy, this is a nail biter. Dun, 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 dun. We're going to go into
Can we do the lightning now?
Yeah. We're going to do that. We're going to get that in a second. So right now, we're going to move on to our lightning round. But here, the debaters will be asked a series of Star Wars trivia questions worth 1 point each. Each of you will be individually given 2 minutes to answer as many of the 15 questions we have prepared for you as possible. If you don't know an answer, this is important, you can pass at any time, but please note you cannot go back around to a question you passed on. So if you don't know an answer, you got to say pass. You go on to the next question to avoid losing more time, but you can't come back around to that question if you think of it later. All right, Leah, we're going to go with you first. It's 6-6, guys. I'm very excited because this is all the marbles are on the line right now. It's all about the trivia. I think you guys will do really well here. Let me get my expert timing device out here right now.
That's an iPhone, right?
It's iPhone 4S.
That's not the droid you were looking for.
I'm cutting that out.
Give her
I'm
a
sorry.
point. For that. No, wait, don't.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
2 minutes, 15 questions. This is all on the line here because it's tied up at 6.
Okay.
You ready? And your time starts now. Who played Grand Admiral Tarkin in Star Wars?
Pass.
In the prequels, Ewan McGregor plays the younger version of which character from the original trilogy?
I want to say Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Correct. What famous composer has scored all the Star Wars films so far?
I know I'm wrong. I'm going to say Hans Zimmer.
John Williams. Which character said the quote, "It's a trap"?
God, I see his face and I can't see. I see that ugly face.
Gotta move, pass or no?
Pass.
Admiral Akbar. What was the name of the battleship Jango Fett used to travel in Episode 2?
Pass.
Slave 1. Name the character.
Jar Jar Binks.
Correct. What movie is this from?
Do I have to say number or the specific
Both.
title? Both?
Just say one of them.
Revenge of the Sith?
No! It is from Episode 1, which is The Phantom Menace.
Oh.
Okay, moving on here. Name the actor.
Liam Neeson.
Correct.
It took me a second.
Besides Luke, name this pilot who survives both the Death Star battles and the Battle of Hoth. No, Wedge Antilles. What actor physically played Darth Maul?
Oh, pass.
Ray Park. Who was the actor inside the C-3PO costume?
I don't know his name.
Anthony Daniels. What was the original name of Return of the Jedi? Revenge of the Jedi. Which character said this quote? Mos Eisley Spaceport. You'll never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
I have no idea.
Obi-Wan. What is the name of the character who is young Anakin's main rival in the pod race scene in Episode 1, The Phantom Menace?
I have no idea.
What's the name of the famous sound effect that can be heard in every Star Wars movie? It's the Wilhelm scream. It's in a lot of movies, yeah.
I think you do it better.
So that's, yeah, right. Put me in there. So you got 3 points there out of a possible 15, Leah. You have 9 points now.
It's legit.
Yeah, not too bad. Sam, you need 4 right to win this thing. Can you do it?
We'll find out.
So confident. I could feel the confidence just exuding from you. Okay. All right, this is it, the final battle. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, and your time starts now. Who played Darth Vader on set of the Star Wars films? Who was in the suit?
David Prowse.
Correct. What other name was the future Emperor Palpatine known by in the prequels?
Darth Sidious.
Correct. Which character said this quote? I'm rather embarrassed, General Solo, but it appears that you are to be the main course at a banquet in my honor.
Pass.
C-3PO. What area did Luke Skywalker work on as a young man when we first see him in A New Hope?
The moisture evaporator fields of Tatooine with his uncle.
A moisture farm.
Okay.
We'll accept that, I guess. Okay, you got it. This is one more and you win, so I'll just go slow here. What does the TIE in TIE Fighter stand for?
Twin ion engine.
Correct. Oh, that was quick. All right, Sam wins it. Sam, you won. How does it feel? How's it feel,
Can
Sam?
I see the other trivia questions?
I felt like I knew more of those, Walter.
Sorry, Leah. You did really good, though, at those first 2 rounds and everything. And you even brought it on the second 2 rounds. I just think Sam edged out just a tad.
For sure.
But yeah, thanks for coming on the show, guys. I really appreciate it.
It was fun.
I would say, come back, but this is the last real debates we're doing, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I just wanted to say, anybody who's watched these things, I know we have like a really small audience who watches like all these every time we put up. So thanks if you've been watching it. This is the last one. I hope you enjoyed it. It's Star Wars themed and everything. Go out and enjoy the Force Awakens. And I don't know. I mean, maybe we'll bring this back at some point at another time, another place. But if not, this has been a good run. 8 episodes. We had some really good ones, some really good guests here and everything. So I want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Be on the lookout for the very last special edition of Real Reviews, which is coming soon. That'll be our last episode period of anything real. Be sure to like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Remember, if it's not debated here, it just isn't real. I'm Walter Bernasiak, and until next time, may the Force be with you.